Poverty made me sell my body to earn money to feed my children. It was a cold, grey morning in the outskirts of Nairobi when Amina sat by the roasted stove, staring at the single bag of rice left on the shelf. The small, one-room shack she called home groaned under the weight of the rainy season. Raindrops leaked through the tin roof, forming small puddles around the edges of the room. Her 2 children, Kamal and little Nia, were huddled together under a thin blanket on the bed, their tiny faces pinched with hunger. For weeks, Amina had been trying to stretch what little food they had left. She had skipped meals, telling the children she wasn't hungry, just to ensure they could eat. But now, even that pretense was gone. The pangs of hunger gnawed at her stomach like a relentless beast. Amina had always been a proud woman. Born into a modest but loving family, she grew up with dreams of becoming a teacher. But life, cruel and unpredictable, had other plans. Her husband, Musa, had died 2 years earlier in a tragic car accident, leaving her to fend for herself and their 2 children. Without his income, she had struggled to find steady work. The odd cleaning jobs she managed barely kept them afloat. As the rain poured outside, a knock came at the door. Startled, Amina rose and opened it to find her neighbor, Mama Fatuma, holding an umbrella. "Amina, are you all right?" Fatuma's voice was filled with concern as she took in the sight of Amina's gaunt face and hollow eyes. Amina forced a smile. "We are managing, Mama Fatuma. Thank you for asking." But Fatuma's gaze lingered. "If you ever need help," she left the sentence unfinished, her expression heavy with unspoken words. After Fatuma left, Amina sank to the floor. The weight of her situation pressed down on her, suffocating and unrelenting. She thought of Kamal and Nia, their laughter long replaced by quiet desperation. She thought of her late husband, his strong arms that once held their family together. And she thought of the choices she'd avoided making, the paths she'd refused to take. That evening, as the children slept, Amina made her way to the city. She had heard whispers of women who walked the streets, selling their bodies to survive. It was a choice she had always judged harshly, a line she never thought she'd cross. But desperation had a way of eroding judgment. The city buzzed with life, a stark contrast to the quiet despair of her home. Neon lights flickered, and the air was heavy with the scent of smoke and rain. Amina found herself on a street corner, her heart pounding. She felt invisible and exposed all at once. Minutes turned into hours before a man approached her. His face was shadowed, but his intentions were clear. With trembling hands, she nodded, sealing a decision that would forever alter the course of her life. Months passed, and Amina's children began to thrive. The money she earned put food on the table and even allowed Kamal to return to school. But the cost weighed on her soul. Each night, she returned home feeling like a stranger in her own skin. The smiles on her children's faces were her only solace, a reminder of why she endured the shame and danger. Then came the day everything changed. A persistent cough had taken hold of her, and her strength began to wane. A trip to the clinic confirmed her worst fears: she was HIV positive. The doctor's words echoed in her mind, drowning out everything else. Shame, fear, and anger swelled within her. She told no one. Not her children, not Mama Fatuma, not even the women she'd befriended on the streets. She continued working, driven by the need to provide, but her body grew weaker. One evening, as she sat alone, she decided to write a letter, a confession and a plea for forgiveness. She wrote about her love for her children, her despair after Musa's death, and the impossible choices she had to make. Tears stained the paper as she poured out her heart. When Amina passed away, the letter was discovered by Mama Fatuma. She read it with trembling hands, her heart breaking with every word. Fatuma took the children in, raising them as her own. She told them stories of their mother's strength and sacrifice, ensuring they remembered her not for the choices she made, but for the love that drove those choices. Years later, Kamal became a teacher, fulfilling the dream his mother once had. And Nia, inspired by the strength of the women who had shaped her life, became a nurse, dedicating her career to helping others. Amina's story became a whispered legend in their community, a tragedy marked by resilience and love. Her life was a testament to the lengths a mother would go to for her children, even when the world left her with no good options.